Good evening and welcome. Let's take a look at our top story. The United States has now sanctioned Russia, saying it was responsible for the poisoning of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny. The sanctions have been imposed on 7 senior Russian officials. Now, according to the U.S. intelligence, Russia's Federal Security Service officers used a nerve agent known as Novichok to poison the Russian opposition leader. But according to officials, sanctions are not the only step. More actions are expected against Russia in the coming weeks. Now, this is the first step by the Biden administration against Russia. The U.S. also reiterated President Joe Biden's call for Russia to release Navalny from prison. But not just the United States. The European Union has also confirmed sanctions. The EU has instead sanctioned 4 senior Russian officials for the poisoning of Navalny. The restrictive measures include a ban on travel to the EU and an asset freeze for individuals. Kremlin had earlier hit back at the sanctions, saying that no goals will be achieved by these sanctions. Russia says that this will further strain relations between the countries. Remember, Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny was poisoned last year by a Russian nerve agent called Novichok, and he was then arrested in January upon his return to Moscow and currently remains in prison. For more on this, we are being joined by our correspondent, Susan Tehrani from New York. Good evening to you, Susan. Now, how is the U.S. expected to impose these sanctions? For example, what provisions will they come under?
Right, Allison. So there are a number of provisions of the past that the Biden administration hopes to sort of expand on. And one of them first 2 of them are executive orders, one issued after Russia's, quote, invasion of Crimea, but also puts authority on the United States to target Russian officials. Also, a 2005 executive order to combat proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. But the Biden administration is also planning on acting on a U.S. Chemical and Biological Weapons Control and Warfare Elimination Act of 1991. I mean, that has a menu of punitive measures to take against Russia. So those are the main provisions. The Biden administration has not disclosed who these officials and entities are that they plan to target regarding Russia's alleged involvement in the poisoning of the Kremlin opposition leader Alexei Navalny.
Right. Now, given Russian reaction, they have denied having had any hand in Navalny's poisoning. Do you think that there is still any room for reach out?
The Biden administration would definitely benefit from some kind of strategic alliance with Russia, considering the fact that Russia is a key player in the Iran nuclear deal. It's a permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, so on international issues at the Security Council, Russia has the right to veto U.S. actions. On the other hand, there's the issue of arms control. The United States would be best suited if it could reach some kind of, again, strategic alliance, not so much a friendship with Russia on arms control, and also the issue of climate change, which is so close to the heart of the Biden administration. While Russia is a victim of climate change, it also produces a lot of carbon gas. And has carbon gas emission problems. So those are the key areas that perhaps are very prominent. But as you know, we've heard earlier that Russian officials have came out, notably Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, saying that diplomacy has to be reciprocal, and these are unilateral actions by the United States and its followers, the European Union. Also, Russia says that the investigations regarding the poisoning of Navalny were kept secret, so this sort of comes out of left field to continue to sanction Russia. And perhaps another issue that a lot of experts are pointing to is at the end of the day, Russia does not like being disrespected and humiliated on the world stage. It prefers to have sanctions lifted, although in reality, it's not clear if many of the previous sanctions will ever be lifted, but it's yet to be seen how this sort of paves the way for a Biden-Putin relationship moving forward. But one thing's for sure, Vladimir Putin won't think he's missing out on anything if he doesn't visit the United States during Biden's term and vice versa. So we'll see.
Right, Susan, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much for joining us with all the latest on those sanctions.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.